no. A supporter would be like, oh, I'm a MAGA supporter. Like I support him. No, there's difference between supporters. I'm saying would I
Okay, in
rather?
reference to support, like support is going back in time. Would you vote for Trump or Harris, or not vote?
Yes, I would vote for Trump because at least Trump spoke his mind. Kamala had like some word salad that she just
She
cooked
did not
up, and
do
she was like,
word salad. You want to talk about word
no,
salad?
no, she cooked up some crazy
Do you
shit,
want
man.
to
She
talk about word
bro,
salad?
bro when she went on with Joe Rogan, man, I
I
tell
would
you
rather
what,
have word
it,
salad than a rapist.
man, I'm gonna sound really bad, man, when I say when I say this, but a president does not. Your morals as a president does not dictate on how you run a country, in my opinion.
Okay, would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein with Trump's policies over Harris?
I mean, if I
Before you
knew,
answer that question, I'm gonna play you what actually sounds to do word salad. Okay, this is the definition of word salad. Here's this. Listen to this. This is the definition of it.
Okay, please, in the back.
Dana Marie McNichol, Fox News Channel. Mr. President, is there an expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months? And does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question? Who?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here, days, weeks, months?
In Florida?
Yes, here at Alligator
I'm going to
Alcatraz.
spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great people. Ron has been a friend of mine for a long time. I feel very comfortable in the state. I'll spend a lot of time here. I want to, for 4 years, I've got to be in Washington, and I'm okay with it because I love the White House. I even fix up the little Oval Office. I make it, it's like a diamond. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't maintained properly, I will tell you that. But even when it wasn't, it was still the Oval Office, so it meant a lot. But I'll spend as much time as I can here. You know, my vacation is generally here because it's convenient. I live in Palm Beach. It's my home. And I have a very nice little place, nice little cottage to stay at, right? But we have a lot of fun, and I'm a big contributor to Florida, pay a lot of tax. And a lot of people move from New York, and I don't know what New York is going to do. A lot of people moved to Florida from New York, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of them was taxes. The taxes are so high in New York, they're leaving. I don't know what New York's going to do about that, because some of the biggest, wealthiest people and some of the people that pay the most taxes of any people anywhere in the world, for that matter, they're moving to Florida and other places. So we're going to have to help some of these states out, I think. But thank you very much. I'll be here as much as I can. Very nice question.
That's a word salad. Do you even remember the question she asked?
about the detainee.
Yeah, did he
In
answer
Florida?
the question?
I
No, he did not answer the question. That was a minute. That was a minute and 52 seconds.
Yes, that's him being a politician.
No, that's a
Yes,
word salad. That's his mind. That's literally him deteriorating in real time. Answer now. Now with the
I
hypothetical.
didn't say I disagree with you, man.
But now with the hypothetical, would you vote
I
for?
didn't
Would
say I
you
was a
vote?
Trump supporter.
Would you vote for Jeffrey
No,
Epstein
I
with Trump's
just don't.
policies
I
or
just
Harris?
don't trust. I don't trust the Democrats right now at all. The only reason why I say that I don't trust
Hold on,
Republicans
but can
either.
you
I
answer
don't
the
trust both.
hypothetical? Answer
No,
the
I don't. I
hypothetical.
don't. So hold on. I don't trust both parties. That's what I'm saying. I would rather vote for a libertarian if I could.
If you wanted
As
to
both
do a
parties.
movie, there's no actor in Hollywood that could play the role. There's nobody that could do it. These actors, they're a little bit shaky. They can't play the role. They'll bring in a big actor, and you look, you say, oh, he's got no muscle content. He's got no muscle. We need a little muscle.
Yes.
Then they bring in
This
another
is
one.
word
But he's got a
salad.
weak face. He
No,
looks
I
weak.
see.
Anyways,
Now,
the
do you-
hypothetical. Would you vote
No,
for Jeffrey?
I see. I see.
Would you?
No, I see.
Would you
I
vote
see
for
what you
Jeffrey?
mean.
Would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein with Trump's policies or Harris?
Well, first of all, you're giving a hypothetical that I already know about Jeffrey Epstein here.
Yeah,
Of
so
course.
answer the
Of course,
hypothetical.
Jeffrey Epstein was a terrible person.
That's not the question I asked. Would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein with Trump policies or Harris?
Kamala. I
You
mean,
vote for Harris?
if I knew about see now that's a God,
Shouldn't be that
that's not.
difficult.
No, it's not. Like, of course, I'd vote for Kamala since
Okay.
I know Jeffrey Epstein with his policies. Yes, if I knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. Now, here's the thing about Trump, though. The thing about Trump is I'm not a Trump supporter. Which I
So
said,
why would you
I'm
vote
not a
for
Trump supporter.
why would you vote for Harris over Jeffrey Epstein with Trump's policies, but not Harris over Trump if both of them raped people? Like, what is the relevant difference?
Here's the thing about Trump. There's no proven fact
Yes, there is. He was found civilly liable.
of something that happened years ago that was no proof. That's the thing. Like, she spoke out about it. I don't.
Yes, and
This is-
she was able to hold him liable in a court of law. They found him guilty. You want to see? Have you seen the document?
That was a New York Democrat, man. Like, see, that's the thing, though. That's the reason why I don't trust them. Like, they're so good at.
No, but in accordance with the statistics, at least
Man,
at
like,
least
I'm not look,
two of them, a minimum of 2 people in this jury.
I'm just-
Also, this jury was hand selected by Trump's own attorneys. By the way, they could have swapped him out, and yet this jury still found Donald Trump liable of sexual assault.
Yeah, but he also, like, even the people, though, I'm not talking about now, but even the people were like, okay, at the moment when that happened and all the lawsuits happened against him, everybody knew that was kind of like, I think this is BS. Because,
What is the reasonable doubt that Donald Trump did not rape Eugene Carroll? What is a reasonable doubt?
dude, he was a billionaire at the time.
That's
I don't
not reasonable
think he
doubt.
did.
Many billionaires, i.e. Jeffrey Epstein, rape. Okay, so that's not reasonable doubt.
I'm not.
What is the
saying
reasonable
that.
doubt?
I'm not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I'm talking about Trump.
But hold
no,
on,
what I'm
but
saying
what is
is
the
about
reasonable
Trump.
doubt?
Reasonable doubt is I think that she just wanted money, and
If she wanted money, why didn't she do it prior? If she wanted money, why was she already a millionaire? Right? If she wanted money, why didn't she just sue him? Hold on.
Here's the thing.
If she wanted money, why didn't she just sue him?
She had
Hold on.
she had no evidence.
Do you think she lied?
Yes, for sure. I do think she lied.
No, do you like?
I think it was planted, that's the thing with me.
Do you think that her story has lies within it?
I do think a lot of her stories has lies in it, for sure.
So if she did it for money, why would she intentionally make her story to have some flaws in it? Obviously, a rape victim after 20 years, her story might have some flaws in it
probably to make him look bad to get money afterwards. There's money too. You got to understand, if you make him look bad in front of the court of law, and you think if you make him look bad and he does let's say he does get arrested, wouldn't it just be easier? Get money out of it?
Wouldn't it just be easier for her to just like claim that she got raped in like a bedroom by him? Right. Therefore, there was no chance of cameras.
But where was the proof of him doing that? Of him, her just
evidence within the case. Yeah, you have witness testimonies. You have you have the therapist notes. You also have the DNA, an unidentified male DNA that wasn't used because Trump refused to give his DNA, and an innocent man would not refuse to give his DNA knowing that it would clear him of said crime. You also have the Hollywood access tape when he says he grabs women by the pussy without asking. You can also reference things that weren't in the case that we can reference now. Him saying that he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, and him saying that
that's just
sexually exploiting women and children.
See, but that grabbing by the pussy has nothing to do with the
Hollywood access tape.
Now the DNA part, yeah, you could be right about that, but at the same time, he could just be like, I'm not gonna do all this shit.
But that's why he had to pay the millions of dollars.
Why would I if I know I didn't?
To prove his innocence. He wouldn't have this on his record if he did that, by the way.
They would have proved his innocence. Now, here's the thing: the New York judge who already hated Trump put him in trial.
Donald Trump said that he wouldn't. Donald Trump said that he wouldn't rape Eugene Carroll because he wasn't his type. A rapist wouldn't say that. A non-rapist would say that they wouldn't rape someone because rape is wrong. But Donald Trump said he wouldn't rape Eugene Carroll because it wasn't his type.
I think it was a plant.
All the evidence that I presented, his past character, him saying he would grab women by the pussy without asking, him saying that he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, him being credibly accused by a minor in the Epstein files of child rape, him sexually exploiting women and children and admitting to this, him saying he wouldn't rape Eugene Carroll because he wasn't his type. That's what a rapist would say. Literally, a civil court finding him liable. The therapist
but you have no proof. You're saying that's what he would say. There's no proof of him doing that.
Hold on. Would you say you wouldn't rape someone because they aren't your type, or would you say you wouldn't rape someone because rape is wrong?
I mean, I would. Of course, I think rape is wrong. Of course.
Which one would you say?
Rape is wrong.
And the reasonable non-rapist would say that, right?
Right.
Typically, a rapist would say that they would rape someone, that they wouldn't rape someone because they're not their type, right?
Right.
Donald Trump said that, and he was found liable. He also admitted to sexual exploitation.
But that's also been credibly accused in the Epstein files. That's not my type. But that's always what Trump does, though. It's not like he's just blunt about it.
Rapes,
yeah, but he's just blunt about it. That's not proof.
He was found liable in a court of law. He was found to be responsible in a court of law.
Yeah, but that was also a Democrat judge. I thought you were agnostic here.
Agnostic
You're supposed
on
to
what?
give proof.
Yes, hold on.
You're supposed to give proof.
I just told you, Donald Trump's attorneys had the option to switch out jury members. They had the option to do that. They didn't. Okay, you can't say that it was Democrat. The reason why it happened, in the Democratic area is because the crime happened in the Democratic area.
That's the thing. He tried to prove that he didn't. And again, I'm not.
No, he didn't try to prove that. He didn't try to prove that. You want to know why? Because he didn't present his DNA. If he would have tried to clear his innocence, he would have given his DNA. For example, if you're like drunk driving, you're probably not going to do the breathalyzer. But if you're not drunk driving and you get pulled over,
he was Here's the thing. He was going to win either way of the court because there was no proof of him doing anything. He could.
Yes, there was his admission of guilt to sexual exploitation.
Which was what?
In 2005, he admitted to sexually exploiting naked women and children. You want to hear the clip?
Yeah, tell me. I want to hear this clip. I am curious about this.
Howard Stern, 2005. Have you heard of it?
Tell me about
it. You're a powerful man.
Right. Of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
First, can we agree that sexual exploitation is any actual or attempted abuse of position of power, vulnerability, or trust for sexual gratification?
Of going back there and seeing.
Hold on. Can we agree? Hold on. Can we agree that sexual exploitation is any actual or attempted abuse of position of vulnerability, trust, or power for sexual gratification?
That wasn't necessarily if you go back there.
I'm just in the general sense. Is sexual exploitation?
No, it wasn't.
Hold on. I'm not asking you if that of sexual exploitation. Hold on. Is the definition of sexual exploitation any actual or attempted abuse of position of power, vulnerability, or trust for sexual gratification? Do you agree with that definition?
Yeah, I do, but that wasn't what it was, though.
Yes, and according to the definition you just agreed to, Donald Trump sexually exploited women and children.
He didn't though.
He admitted to it. Would you like me to prove?
No, I heard the clip, but that's not what he did. He went back there. Now, here's the thing.
Would you like me to prove?
Do you know who Vince McMahon is, right? You know who Vince McMahon is?
No.
Right? Now, you don't know who the WWE, who was Trump's friend at the point of time, who he was. He was using his power to use women as exploitation. Now, that's the difference. Trump went back there. Now, Trump went back there, and if he heard a woman say no, but there's no proof of a woman saying, hey, no, don't come back here. There's no proof of that.
No,
there's no proof of that.
It's implied consent. It's implied consent. A women's only dressing room. Men do not have consent. Okay,
we know.
Yes, no. In a women's only dressing room, men cannot be back there. Okay, they cannot be back there. That is socially understood. Okay, that is colloquially understood. A woman's only dressing room, men do not have consent to go back there. But what did he do? He abused his position of power. In saying that he had to inspect the place to see naked women. That is sexual exploitation. And then he said he gets away with things like that. If it was his job, then he wouldn't be getting away with it.
Did he hear me?
Yeah, Bradley, I can hear you. Let me just finish up this conversation. And you said something in the comments I'd like to address. But yeah, middle class. Yep. It was sexual exploitation. I just proved with the definition of it. Do you agree or disagree?
I do disagree. I do disagree with your statement.
Why?
For sure. Because I do not agree that he had, like, if a woman said no, because no woman said no. That's the difference.
They already said no when they went into the women's dressing room. The women's only dressing room, that's when they said no. When walking inside the dressing room, men cannot go in there. Donald Trump went in there.
Where was the proof of the woman saying no?
No, because they went into a dressing room. That's why. As soon as you go into a women's only dressing room,
that the women said no, not just going into a women's.
First off, saying that they had to say no. Some people that rape victims, even if they don't say no, it's still rape, right?
I'm not saying that it's what. No. What I'm saying is that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is,
can you agree that men?
He went back there.
Can you agree that men don't have consent to enter in women's only spaces?
Right. No. Yes, for sure. If they say no, of course. If they say no, hey, I don't feel comfortable.
No, in a general woman's only.
How do you know that the woman didn't want him back there?
Because they were minors, and minors cannot consent.
Yeah, but we don't know that they were minors. That's the thing.
According to Maria Bellado, 15. There were some girls using as 15 years old.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that Trump went back there.
He owned Miss Teen USA.
No, but he said he went back. He said as a part of being the CEO of those things, he was allowed to go backstage, not into the dressing rooms. It was backstage. He said he was allowed to inspect backstage.
That's exactly why it was a position of power that he abused. Anyways, middle class, I'm gonna drop you down. I'm gonna continue the conversation.
It's like me going. It's like me going to.
Can I provide a comparison? Like if the owner of Kohl's walked in on y'all's partners in the dressing room getting naked, you would be okay with that, right?
It's not the dressing room. It's backstage.
No, it was the dressing room. He walked into the dressing room. The victims, even the victims that defended Trump, they said that he went into the dressing rooms. Everyone that says that happened said it happened in the dressing room. Donald Trump described a dressing room. No men were around. Women were getting naked and changed. That is a description of a dressing room. So he described a dressing room, and all of the victims, even pro-Trump victims, said it happened in a dressing room. Okay, so also, in this comparison, would you guys be okay with the owner of Kohl's walking into your partners in a dressing room of Kohl's?
Also, that's not a fair comparison because a private dressing room where you actually don't sign away your consent versus a pageant dressing room where you actually have a contract where you sign all that.
Prove that they consented. Men entering the women's only dressing room. Prove it.
Well, hey guys, hey Jeremiah. Sure. I want to say, hey, thank you for the debate. I do gotta go. Sure. I do appreciate the debate though. Sure. It was a nice debate. I do like our religious talk earlier. Sure. It was nice.
Sure, let's finish the conversation on this because I feel like we left on a bad point. So come up another day. I appreciate you coming up here. You take care.
All
right. Bradley, prove it. You said that they gave up their consent. Prove it. Let me see what they signed. Prove it.
When you sign up for those pageants, when you sign up to be there, like Trump said, the CEOs of these organizations are allowed to
not into a women's only space.
They're allowed to go into the backstage.
Yeah.
And to inspect it. They're allowed to do that.
Backstage,
yes.
Not the dressing room. That's different.
Yeah, but the dressing room and backstage in some of these instances are very similar. And they're very in the same proximity.
But no, there are doors. They're not wide open.
A lot of these dressing rooms are wide open to the backstage because they go straight from the dressing room.
No, they're not. But either way, it's still a women's only space.
Back to switch.
It's still a women's only space.
It's not a women's only space because it's owned by the actual event that is being put on.
A women's dressing room is a women's only space.
A woman's dressing, if it's labeled like that, or if it's labeled in your contract. If you sign, if a show, say, because I've helped put on concerts, my family puts on concerts, we put on shows all the time. It is a well-known thing in whether it's a artist, whether it's a lot of the artists, they have their own private trailers. They have a lot of their own private stuff, but if it's actually in the event center, right? So they have dressing rooms in the event centers. They have them in their own personal trailers, right? So in the event center, everything in the event center has to be accessible by the people putting on the show, no matter what.
So no, I can actually just give you a map here. So this is gonna be a small dressing room. This is gonna be a large dressing room, a green room, and the production office. You're gonna see stairs, and then you're gonna see the main stage over here, and then the hallway. So there are going to be doors between here, right here, and right here. There's going to be a door here for the large dressing room and a door here as well. And then these are the stairs. There's going to be doors to the green room, doors to the production offices, and then there's going to be doors to the local crew. There's going to be doors as well here. So what you're saying is wrong.
So the back part that you were just showing on your picture, the smaller rooms, those are restrooms.
This is a dressing room.
Those are restrooms.
Hold on, this one right here where my mouse is a small dressing room.
That's a dressing. Yeah, that's a dressing room.
This is a large dressing room.
The ones in the back that you said were dressing rooms, those are all bathrooms.
I never said these were dressing rooms. I said doors here and doors here. Can you agree these are doors, right?
Yes.
Same as these are doors. This is a door. This is a door. Yeah. This is a door. This is a door. This is a door. This is a door. These are the doors for the stairs. How do I know that these are doors? Well, because you can see the double doors.
Well, I know
this
that.
Is double doors,
I know that
double
they're
doors.
Right,
so then, in terms of this, they are not together. There's going to be independent and separate rooms for women to get dressed, changed, and naked. Donald Trump described a women's only dressing room. Why? No men were allowed. Okay, because typically in a green room or in a production office or by the stairs or in a hallway, there are going to be men, okay, or in the local crew, there's going to be men, okay? Men are expected to be a part of the production, right? In a small dressing room where women get changed and naked, you're not going to see any men. In a large dressing room, depending on how it's classified, and if you're referencing a makeup, you could see some makeup artists, but typically, again, it's only going to be women's only dressing room, typically, in terms of the large dressing room. But as you can see right here, these are women's only dressing rooms, okay? And Donald Trump described a women's only dressing room because A, no men were allowed, no men were around, and B, women were getting naked,
no men were around. No men were around.
And we expect men.
Were allowed.
That's why I corrected myself. Men were not around, and typically we expect men to be around if it was like the general backstage area. And we also know it was a dressing room because they were getting naked, had no clothes on, and were putting on clothes. That is typically what happens in a dressing room. Which dressing room? A women's only dressing room.
A women's dressing room. It might not be women's only.
A women's dressing room implies that it's a women's only dressing room.
No, a lot of the pageants do not have women's only spaces because a women's dressing room.
A women's dressing room is a women's only space.
That's not necessarily true in show business.
Quite literally the true. Is a women's bathroom specifically only for women?
If it's labeled women, yes.
Cool. These dressing rooms.
But dressing rooms were not labeled. They aren't labeled like that. Because you have people that are helping them change that might not necessarily be a woman. They might be a man or someone who's
no men are allowed in a woman's dressing room.
Someone who's bringing costumes in and out might be a man, just a mover.
But no men are allowed in a women's dressing room.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay, give me the rules and regulations on the Miss Teen USA and Miss USA.
You're making the claim, so you should have to.
Also, there were teens there.
Yeah, but if you're making that claim, then you should be the one to have to.
I have a negative claim. I said men cannot do this. You have the positive, which means hold on. The reason why I shouldn't be the one who has a burden is because I made a negative claim. Men cannot do this. You said men can do this. Because you disagreed with me, unless you're agnostic.
I said normally men are allowed in those spaces, which we saw. So
hold on. So men are normally allowed in women's dressing rooms.
But hold on, you made the initial claim.
So I have a question.
Men are not allowed.
I have a question.
Therefore, before we move on, if you're making the initial claim.
But my claim is negative. Hold on. My claim is a negative.
Just because mine's positive doesn't make it any different.
Yes, it does because you're the one who has to prove a positive claim. I can't prove a negative.
Yeah, but you can't. That's like me saying, "Oh, I think you know, I think the sky is green."
No, that's proof. No, that's not a negative claim.
The sky is blue, and I would say, "Well, that's negative. Show me the proof."
No, what would be analogous here is me saying, like, I can't do a backflip. You ask me to prove it. Well, I can't. I can't prove it because I cannot do a backflip.
Yeah, but
right?
you're making the initial. Yeah, but you're making the initial claim.
People cannot prove.
Right?
Let me tell you something. People cannot prove negative claims. Okay, if I say I'm not good at, if I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're saying it you're stating it as a fact, though.
Right, but then you disagreed. But then you disagreed. Then you disagreed, and then you provided a positive claim. Therefore, you have the burden of proof because you have the positive claim.
Technically, you should have to.
I can't prove a negative.
Exactly. So then why would you say it? If you can't prove what you're saying, then why would you make that initial argument if you can't prove it?
Because it's a negative claim.
You're telling me I have to prove he's innocent. You're saying he's guilty.
No.
Right?
I'm not saying I can prove how he's guilty. I already proved this to you.
No,
okay,
but you're saying,
let me move this. We're gonna stay on the same subtopic.
Trump made the claim, I'm allowed to go back there because
if he was allowed to go back there, hold on. If men were allowed to go back there and he was allowed to go back there, why did he say he got away with it? Why?
No, he said he was allowed to.
But he said he got away with it. Why? If he was allowed back there, what would he be getting away with?
Because he was allowed to. That's why he said I'm allowed to get away with those sort of things because I'm allowed.
My mom ditched all her jeans after I bought.
But typically, people who are allowed to do things wouldn't be getting away with it. If he's allowed to go backstage, you are not. That's like saying like for example, if I steal like a cookie, right? I would be like if I steal a cookie. No, that's not that's not an analogy. Sorry, wrong analogy.
Well, that's actually a good analogy because it would be like, hey, I'm allowed to. It'd be like, hey,
I genuinely don't know what I was doing with that.
I bought these cookies for the family, right? And I'm allowed to have the cookie because I bought it because I'm also in the family. Right.
But he didn't buy. Yeah, but yes, that's a perfect analogy. Yes, perfect analogy. Hold on, I fumbled, but you helped me. Hold on.
Everyone else gets to follow, right?
He did not buy the actual contestants. He did not buy them.
He bought the space they participated in.
He bought the general backstage area. He bought the stage where they perform. He did not buy them. Okay, therefore he doesn't own them. Okay, and therefore there is explicit. We colloquially understand that men are not allowed in women's dressing rooms. We know that these were women's dressing rooms because they described it as women's dressing rooms. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump described it as women's dressing rooms. If he was doing his job, he wouldn't be getting away with doing his job. Therefore, he wouldn't say he gets away with things like that.
Right, but he, like I said, he owned the space they participated in. He made, or not himself. I'm sure he didn't make the contracts or negotiate any of the whatever happened at the places, but his people did, right? So they all make the contracts.
Prove that every single pageant gave the consent for men to be in the women's spot.
I'm saying, I know, but here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying though. Trump said, right, that he is allowed to do that, right? As CEO, he was allowed to do that, correct? Like we all can agree that he said that.
Yeah,
right?
because
he said I'm allowed to go back here. Right?
Yeah, as an abuse to a position of power. Sorry.
Right. He said I'm allowed to go back here.
Yeah.
And now you're saying I'm saying the negative. Technically, I'm just referring to him. You're saying the negative in reaction to what he said.
That
Therefore,
he wasn't.
You would have to prove. Right.
Therefore, you would have to prove he wasn't allowed to do that.
No, you would have to prove that it wasn't in the contract because he's saying it was. By saying that, you're saying that it's in the contract.
You have to prove that it was in the contract.
That me as CEO,
no,
I'm sure as a lot of these.
Yes, you have to prove that it was in the contract. Again, I cannot prove a negative. I can't prove that it's not in a contract. You're getting mixed up
in that would be that there. No, I would have to say the proof in that is that no one has come forward for sexual allegations against him from any of the pageants.
I got you. Hold on, I got you.
For sexual assault.
I got you. No, for sexual exploitation, yes. I got you.
And is this did these allegations come out when the pageants happened, or did they come out when he was running for president?
Hold on, I got you. Hold on. Oh fuck. Sorry, that's an ad. I don't have YouTube Premium. Y'all, YouTube Premium in the bio.
Came strolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were in. He just came.
This is Tasha Dixon. It's his former Miss Arizona.
Rolling right in. There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything.
2001.
Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
As Miss Arizona 2001, Tasha Dixon competed in the Miss USA pageant. Donald Trump owned the contest along with Miss Universe and Miss Teen USA for 19 years.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis. To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him.
And Dixon has strong opinions about what she thinks were Trump's motivations.
I'm telling you, Donald Trump owned the pageant for the reason to utilize his power to get, around beautiful women.
Dixon, who lives in West Hollywood, was 18 at the time.
Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
The year she competed, the theme was empowering women. And after hearing recent audio of Trump talking about women, she decided to speak out.
I'm Miss Arizona, so I veer more on the conservative side. But I just like to choose what's right.
Dixon tells me she hadn't heard the stern audio before. We did reach out to several 2001 contestants, and those that responded declined to be interviewed.
Yeah, so that's going to be Miss Arizona. I have one other one. I don't think. I think this is going to be an interview. I think what Miss Vermont says. Yeah, it's gonna be BuzzFeed if I can't find the actual clip. Give me a second.
Did that ever go to court, by the way?
This never went to court. It could be this one. Let's see.
Of the show, second
for this one.
Says Trump contestants and Trump.
Billy Bush does.
Do you support us or do you?
No, sorry. Give me 1 second. Wrong video.
And no men are anywhere.
Tape.
Okay, so I would have to. Oh, hold on.
Is this the Stern?
I refuse to answer that question.
On the ground.
No, I was looking for Miss Vermont. But I would have to cite BuzzFeed.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. No, former Miss Vermont. This one.
Victoria Hughes was just 19 years old when she first met Donald Trump. She says she was. Victoria Hughes was just 19 years old when she first met Donald Trump. She says she was backstage in the dressing room when Trump came in to say hi.
I was in the very back of a very, very large dressing room.
Victoria Hughes was Miss New Mexico in the 1997 Miss Teen USA pageant. Hughes remembers getting dressed backstage just before the show when all of a sudden...
We have a visitor. They didn't tell us who it was and that we needed to make sure that we were dressed and that we were decent.
Little did she know that visitor was Donald Trump, who owned Miss Teen USA and 2 other pageants from 1996 until just last year.
And he said hello and he wished everyone good luck. And then he left.
Hughes told us via Skype she was dressed and saw the other girls around her, but she admits it was poor timing.
He definitely should have introduced himself at the end of one of our rehearsals instead of...
So Virginia Hughes, this one saying that she's saying that he warned, right? But she admits it's in a dressing room. Right. So she's saying it's in a dressing room. Someone who's
not knowing if everyone is completely covered up or not.
2001's Miss Arizona told news outlets it was deliberate.
He just came strolling right in. There was no...
Howard Stern in 2005
assaulted them on.
And the New York Times spoke to 2
women. So there's Miss Arizona and Miss New Mexico, who both say it happened in the dressing room. One of them is obviously pro-Trump. One of them is like not pro-Trump. Well, both of them.
Wait, is the Arizona? Was the last one pro-Trump? Is that what you're saying?
Virginia Hughes, yeah. She was claiming that he warned people before they came in.
Yeah,
so
and the first one
in the dressing room,
right? And then the first one you kind of hear that she had a motive. She didn't like Trump,
but it's still corroborated by Virginia Hughes, and also it's corroborated by Trump's own word of mouth. So we know that this is true.
But that doesn't implicate that Trump actually assaulted anyone.
I never said assault. I mean, I said a sexual exploit. Can we at least agree that it was sexual exploitation?
Or even sexual exploitation, because to exploit, he's got to be like doing something. He just went in to say hi.
No, he went in to see beautiful naked women, quote unquote.
Quote unquote, not yeah, but he said hi to them, and to say
that's still sexual exploitation.
I don't think so. Because you're not taking pictures, you're not doing nothing.
You don't need to take pictures to have be sex. Do you think like Bill Clinton sexually exploited Monica Lewinsky?
Well, I would say making her give you a.
Do you think that was sexual exploitation?
Something. I don't know how to. If I can, I can't say that on.
Yeah, I know, Jordan, but do you think that was sexual?
You know
exploitation?
What I'm saying.
Do you think that was sexual exploitation?
Yeah, making. I think that would.
He didn't take photos, right? It was.
I think that would most likely. Well, I think that was most likely. I don't know. I think that was probably further than sexual.
But it was consensual.
It was consensual, yeah. But he had her doing that in a position of power. Actually,
exactly. Just because it's about the position of power. Donald Trump had the position of power, therefore he would go in and inspect it. And obviously he said he gets away with it, so therefore it wasn't actually his job to do the inspections. But even Miss Arizona says that who are they going to tell, right? He is the one who owns the pageant. He abused his position of power to sexually exploit women and children. You also made a claim about like E. Jean Carroll saying that she thought rape was sexy. Is that right? Did you say that in the comment section?
Eugene Carroll, yeah, she said that was her fantasy.
So are you making the claim she said she thinks rape is sexy?
Yeah.
You want to bet money on that?
She put that in her bio that she fantasizes.
That's not true.
She fantasizes rape. Yes.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the interview with what's his name? Anderson Cooper.
I believe that might be. I believe she wrote it somewhere.
But hold on. Do you have the belief that she said she thinks rape is sexy?
I think I don't know if she said if it was sexy, but she said it was a fantasy of hers.
No, that's not what she said.
Which is a fantasy.
No, that's not what she said.
What did she say then?
And she didn't say that it was a fantasy in reference to the Anderson Cooper interview. She said other people think rape is sexy.
No, I believe she said. Hold on. Let me get my.
I can just play it for you.
You don't feel like a victim.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished. Which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt.
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
She did not say she thinks rape is sexy. Also, if you could provide me any source that says she fantasized about rape, provide me any source.
1 second. Let's see. Well, she said this particular thing wasn't, but also I'd have to go back and look up the actual court case, but if I remember correctly, she could not prove that he did that to her.
A civil court determined, correct? Yes, a civil court, yes. She proved in a civil court.
Yeah, but she could not prove with evidence.
There was evidence.
It was proven. It was determined by public opinion.
No, a civil court is preponderance of evidence. Okay, there was evidence.
Yeah, but I don't. Hold on.
There was evidence. It was preponderance of evidence that the jury determined.
But that wasn't rape. That was sexual assault. Correct.
Colloquially known as rape at the time, yes, it was classified as sexual assault because rape under New York law was classified as a male member forcefully penetrating a female member, but that is not the definition of rape. So the way he did was rape, yeah.
Which is what I believe he got sued for later, right?
He got sued for defamation. The judge said
sued for defamation for having the wrong wording.
No, she sued him for defamation because he called her a liar when she accused him of rape, and then she's like, okay.
Yeah, but he said she won. Yeah, but if I remember how that went, he called her a liar for saying she raped him, and then she sued him because the wording was wrong and it was sexual assault, not rape.
No, she sued him because he defamed her by calling her a liar. The judge said, okay, in order for you to prove he defamed you, you need to prove he raped you. and then the court of law was able to determine that he did in fact sexually assault her.
I'm not good with looking up stuff on the spot. But
I think obviously like this is what upholds like rape culture, right? Where we don't believe victims even when their rapist is held accountable.
Well, I don't think that I would have to argue that point because there are many rape victims that end up not being the actual. There's a lot of guys who get their lives destroyed because they might have sex with a woman and it was consensual, and then
very low, very low. 98% of rapists don't get held accountable, according to RAIN.org. 98% of rapists don't get held accountable, compared to the less than 1% that get accused of something they didn't do. But 98% of them do not get held accountable, just according to RAIN.org. So yes, this is what upholds rape culture. Y'all, if you're on YouTube, sorry, continue.
Oh, I was just saying. So from what I'm reading, right? Because I haven't looked at this case in a minute.
Sure.
Right. So I kind of got into all the political stuff there for a minute. So from what I remember, from what I'm seeing, it was Carol's test. She testified, and then two other witnesses testified. Right.
That was evidence. Yes, that was some of the evidence in the case.
Right, but and then if I remember correctly, they tried to get the DNA from Trump, right? And he denied it because there was some, and then they waited till like the deadline to do it, basically do it, and then
the judge could not accept it because it was past the deadline, so legally he could not accept it. That's something. It's more likely than not something that someone who's guilty of the crime would do. Okay. An innocent person would clear their name, just give their DNA to clear their name, and not pay millions of dollars and not have them on not have that on their record.
Yeah, well, right, but so
if he would have given his DNA and he did not rape her, he would have been innocent.
Correct, but that is still technically that wasn't like court mandated though. That was like
but I'm saying if he was innocent, he would have done this.
They gave him the option, right?
Yes.
And so it wasn't like mandated because they can't legally do that because it's
a civil court. Yeah, they can't.
Against your civil rights. Yeah. But which, to be honest, that should be in my opinion. If it's rape that's being questioned, that should be a mandatory thing. So in my opinion,
he would have been found guilty, right? So my point is here, he was innocent. He had the choice to clear his name via giving his DNA. He did not do that.
Correct.
Why? Why didn't he do that?
Well, he didn't want to. It's like
why?
You don't
because
have
he actually raped Eugene Carroll.
No, I don't.
Hold on. Can you agree a reasonable person, a reasonable non-rapist would give their DNA to clear their name, right?
I don't think so.
Would you give your DNA?
In my opinion, if I was innocent, then no, I wouldn't give my DNA.
Hold on. If you were innocent and you wouldn't give your DNA, knowing that giving your DNA would clear you?
No, because that would clear you. I didn't even do the COVID shots or anything, so it's like I don't like.
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
On a COVID shot? Well, I just didn't need to. I don't work in any job that's close to.
Okay, but hold on. So you would rather have a rape on your record? You would rather pay millions of dollars than give your DNA? That's absurd.
Actually, I know for a fact that I would never be accused of that. And if I
It's
was,
a hypothetical question.
Well, then I would be able to prove it.
Via giving your DNA. Right? If giving your DNA was the only option, would you do it?
If giving my DNA was the only thing that would clear my name?
Yes.
Man, I probably would at that point if it was like last resort.
In this case, it was last resort for Donald Trump because A, his stories were falling apart. B, he lied. C, this was last resort because it's literally the thing that would have proved him not guilty.
Well, true, but with the whole rape
imagine
culture
if this was any other person. Like the comment section is right. Like if one of your friends was held liable for rape, right? Would you believe them? Would you believe the case?
All right, so let me give you the actual example, right? So was it Kavanaugh that got accused?
Who?
Brett Kavanaugh, the guy who was being nominated for justice, for the Supreme Court justice, Brett Kavanaugh.
Are
you familiar with that? So the Ford, I believe is what her name was, came against him and said that he sexually assaulted her. He raped her, right? Is this here? I don't know why I'm asking. I could look it up. But I believe it was Kavanaugh, and she said, and he has a detailed diary of his whole life. He kept the journal. So he kept the journal from the age of like 12, right? Age of 9. So he has a detailed journal of like every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like pretty much every second he went through law school, all that stuff. He gave the journal, right, to the courts. Well, it actually never went to court. It was just for him being tried. It was just for him
I'm confused. What's the nominated? Point of this?
Well, because you said if it was any other person. Well, he did get accused of it. It never went to court. They just brought her forward as a character witness for him getting nominated, and she couldn't prove that he did it. He could prove that she didn't, but the public still believed that she did. That he did. The public believed he raped her, and he had a detailed diary and everything, detailed journal.
I don't know much about Brett Kavanaugh. I don't know. I can't speak on that, but my question was like if any other but he wasn't held liable. He wasn't held accountable in a court of law.
Publicly, he was.
No, but I'm talking about in a court of law. That's what I was trying to say.
Exactly.
In a court of law, if it was about anyone else, we would have been having this conversation.
I know, but if he did, then he should have gone to jail, right? They should have tried him. Someone came forward. Someone came forward and said that he raped her. That he raped her.
So same with Trump. Wait, hold on. You're saying someone who's held accountable by the law should go to jail. Trump was held accountable by the law. He should go to jail under your worldview.
But she settled. She settled for the money.
It was not a settle. It was not a settlement. He was held liable. He was found to be responsible for the rape of E. Jean Carroll.
But it was out of. But you're saying, but he didn't go to jail because it was out of.
Statute of limitations, yeah. But under your worldview, you would prefer him to go to jail, yes.
Yeah, but also I believe that they should go to jail when they do it. You can't wait 20 years later to expect justice.
Some victims never even come out.
Or 30 years.
Some victims never come out ever.
I get that, but they should.
But they don't because of people like you. When women come out and then they held their abusers accountable in a court of law, they don't believe them like people like you. That's why women don't come out. Because of people like you who misconstrue what they say, where you think they say rape is like one of their fantasies, right? Or that you don't believe them for whatever reason. That's why people don't come out, because of people like you.
Well, I also believe her timing. The reason why this doesn't make sense is because of the timing. She came out when he's running for president.
Yeah, when your rapist is going to become the most powerful billionaire, one of the most powerful people on planet Earth, you would want to tell people that he's a rapist.
He already was one of the most. Yeah, but he wasn't was already one of the most powerful people.
He was not the most. He was not the most powerful person on planet Earth. That's a lie.
He wasn't but he was a very powerful. And that's another thing. It's like if you got I know, but if you got raped, and then you see this guy, right, and you see that he's holding pageants with other women that could potentially be raped, correct? And you see that. And you just go along with your life, like everything's good.
Sure, Bradley, give me
like,
1 second.
Knowing that could be a possibility.
Give me 1 second here, Bradley. Hey, Jesus, do you support Trump?
Not exactly.
Well, are you here to debate on any of the topics?
Yeah, the second one. Why are men better at leading than women?
All right, cool. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll wrap up this conversation, then I'll move on to you. I'll put you on mute for now. All right, Bradley. So what? You don't believe the timing you said?
I just think that when women come out, when people are running for political office or something, is just questionable to start with. Like this.
Do you believe the credible accusations against Eric Swalwell?
Eric Swalwell.
He was running for governor of California, and as he started running for governor of California,
I live in California. I do. Yeah. I live in California, and I know who he is. I don't know anything about those accusations. Like I didn't look into that. Like I said, I tapped out of politics. But the reason I didn't like him is because he was sleeping with a Chinese spy. That's the reason why I did not like him. I don't know anything about.
Sure, but the point is here. For example, me. I hold a standards where I believe the allegations against Eric Swalwell, even though he was running for governor of California. It is the case that you don't want your rapist to be the most powerful man on planet Earth, i.e. the president of the United States of America. It is the case that you want people to know that he is a rapist. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, if she just wanted to harm me, he could have done it a long time ago. She didn't know that he was going to become president. She didn't know that. She didn't have a crystal ball. Why didn't she do this years ago?
She did know that
why didn't she? Hold on. If she was lying, why didn't she give a reasonable story? Right, not 20 years later, in accordance with your view. Right. Why wouldn't it be reasonable? Why wouldn't it be in a bedroom where no cameras, no one else would have been around for it to be more believable on your end? Why didn't she do that? It's because she was raped. That's why.
I don't know, but I don't know if she was or if she wasn't.
A civil court determined that. Yes, a civil court determined that.
Yeah, but here's my thing. If she knew, right, which she did, that other women could be victimized by this behavior, right? And that probably would, because if Trump was a rapist, then other women most likely would be, correct?
Sure.
So if that's the case, and she knew that, then she literally for decades allowed that to happen. And
you cannot blame the victim. Hold on, pause. What you're not gonna do on my live stream is say a victim of rape is responsible for the sexual exploitation of women and children. Who is responsible for that is the person who committed the actual crime.
You said that she had the power to stop him from being
when
president.
did I say that? You are making that claim.
No, because that's when she came out against him. It was because he was about to become the president of the United States,
and yes,
the most powerful person in the world.
Yes,
and the only reason why she came out,
that's not the only reason. That is not the only reason. That is not.
That is the main reason.
No, that is not the main reason. That is not the main reason either.
When he's running for president,
the reason why she came out when she hold on, pause. I'm gonna get into the conversation soon because you literally tried blaming victims. The reason why she came out is because she was waiting until her parents passed away because she didn't want people like you dragging her name through the mud and her parents having to witness that. She waited until her parents passed away, wrote the book, and then published the book, and then Donald Trump called her a liar, then she sued for defamation, okay? It's Donald Trump's fault that he got sued because he's the one who called her a liar. She was just going to write the book as soon as her parents passed away, which she did. Okay, the reason she came out was because, the reason why she didn't come out prior was because of her parents and because of of how society treats victims of rape. Like you literally just said that you think she's responsible for the rape and sexual exploitation of other women and children. That's disgusting. You have like 30 seconds to respond.
No, I didn't. No, I said that she, by the reason she came out, right?
Which was of her parents.
Yeah. And when Trump was running for office, she did that. And then
because
she
her
wrote the
parents
book
passed away around that time.
So that's the story. And it's like.
And then you said she could have prevented other women from being raped. Why didn't she come out earlier? You were blaming the victim. You're blaming the victim.
Person of power.
But you're blaming the victim. You're literal. Hold on. Why don't we blame Donald Trump? Why are you blaming the victim? Why are you blaming the victim, not Donald Trump? Why are you saying a victim could have prevented
because
this?
Because her timing in Trump running for president and then going, "Oh, I'm going to write this book and say that Trump raped me." And then while he's running for president, and then it's like...
Because that's when her parents passed away. I don't know what to tell you.
And I'm assuming if this book went viral or whatever, and Trump saw it, I'm assuming that the book probably was pretty popular. And she was already a big name, right?
She was a big name prior to this, yes.
Yes. So it's like... So, obviously it was going to reach Trump, and Trump was going to see it. But it's like...
What does this have to do with anything? You tried blaming victims for a rapist committing crimes.
I did because I think that if you're gonna come out and say that he raped you, and you could have prevented.
Why are you blaming victims? Why are you blaming victims? Hold on. Why are you blaming victims and not the rapist? Why? Blame the rapist.
Because when she became a victim is when she told the world that when a person was running for political office.
I'm sorry, I can't continue that conversation. You're just blaming victims.